Greetings, Christy. How have you been? Wow, greetings, everyone. Woo. Wow, hi.
Hello.
I see a lot of humans. Thank you all for coming. I expected more, I don't know, a few Darth Vaders.
Any Darth Vaders? Any Darth
Storm.
anything?
Yes,
There we go. Perfect.
Careful with that saber, young man.
I love the jumpsuit. I want a picture after. Okay.
Lead on, Christy.
All right.
There's Darth. There.
Oh, where?
Right in the front row.
Okay, there we go. So, okay, they already know the drill. So if you have a question for Bill, there's a microphone right here. Feel free to line up.
Wow, that took forever. So.
And only one question per person.
And the other thing, everybody, if it can be a question rather than a fascinating comment. And you guys, we're here talking about my book, and I just remind you, it's the greatest. It was New York Times bestseller. They're 20 in a carton. They make great gifts. Valentine's Day is coming up. Let alone Martin Luther King Day. It's just huge. So, lead on.
Hello, Mr. Nye. First, I'd like to congratulate you on your contribution to the science community.
I love you, man.
Big fan of your show when I was a youngling. My question is a bit more of a physics question.
Sure, I'm an expert. No, I took a lot of physics. I remind everybody.
You're the science guy.
I took nothing but physics when I was in engineering school, yes.
So let's assume that an object the size of Mercury were to hit the Earth at approximately 900 kilometers per second at an angle of 30 degrees relative to the Earth's equator. Assuming that we would somehow survive and witness what's left, knowing that the Earth were to be in a different orbit relative to the Sun or even slung out of orbit, what adverse effects would these survivors experience?
I don't think there would be any survivors. I haven't run the numbers, but the planet Mercury is very large.
It is. Assuming
at 900 kilometers, I think that's it. I mean, so I'm not a full-time orbital mechanician, but I think that would be catastrophic, and that would sort of terminate us. If it didn't, it would be a close approximation of terminating us. With that said, as you may know, I'm the CEO of the Planetary Society. And one of the things that we are deeply concerned about is an asteroid impact. There is no evidence at all that the ancient dinosaurs had a space program. None. But if they had, they might have avoided this catastrophe, which involved a rock or an impact, or it might have been icy, that perhaps is... Now, I'm doing cubes in my head, but I'll say it's about a 10 millionth of the mass of Mercury. And it was catastrophic. So I was just shooting from the hip. I think you're done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Best case scenario, I think the world would be a lot like Fallout 4.
Hi. I'd like to preface my question with saying that ever since I was in 4th grade, I've wanted to be an astronaut, and that's doing...
You just wear it around.
Yeah, just stop by, and that's doing no small part to you. So thank you for inspiring me and all these others for pursuing science. So my question is, where do you see human exploration of space in the next 50 years versus what we can do possibly in the next 50 years?
So what we can do is what we're focused on at the Planetary Society. Did I mention the Planetary Society? The same thing? Yeah.
The Planetary Society?
Right on. He's got a shirt, Show the World. His Place in Space t-shirt. Oh, man, Comic-Con is the hardcores. Yes. The hard planetary cores, which reminds me we're going to orbit Jupiter later this summer, and we're going to look at the core of Jupiter. That said, the Planetary Society convened a bunch of the world's experts, a gathering of over 70 of the world's foremost authorities on human spaceflight, and we did an analysis that is, I think, compelling. We could have humans orbiting Mars in 2033. Christy, 2033, as you know, is an especially favorable orbit. I mean, there's a lot of good orbits, but 2033 is a good one.
Probably my favorite orbit.
Yeah, well, sure, the 33 and
Yeah,
everything.
I mean,
So what we could do is have humans orbiting Mars 2033 without increasing the NASA budget with just 2 stipulations, letting it grow with inflation, which is, I mean, an increase, but not a catastrophic one. And the other thing, Christy, is to stick to the agreement, the many agreements that NASA would let go of the International Space Station in 2024. And that $3 billion annual bill would be paid for by your company or SpaceX or some exotic company. And then humans orbiting Mars in 2033, you could land in 2035, 2037, something like that. And this would change the world. So as I say to everybody, and you know how much I love you all. How much, Christy?
a lot. He was telling me backstage how much he loves you guys.
More than life itself.
Like personally, and like a personal level.
More than life itself. I love you, man. But with that said, the idea, which sounds so cool, especially to Americans, this idea that we'll go to Mars and colonize it, live off the land, just like the pioneers did, and marched across North America. I just remind you, not only is there nothing to eat, not only is there really, in a practical sense, nothing to drink, not only that, there's nothing to breathe. You can't even freaking breathe on Mars. So it's not like you're just going to go up there with your 12 gauge and just start living off the land. It's not that way.
There's no Wi-Fi either, so.
Yeah, not yet. Actually, there almost is. It's funny you should say that. I mean, with the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter and Mars Express, there kind of is almost. But with that said, we do want to go to Mars with people because they have an adventure and they make discoveries. So this is a cool question. 2033, if you're a taxpayer, you're a voter, think about 2033. If you're a normal person, engaged and excited about space exploration because you know it brings out the best in us and advances science and technology in ways no other undertaking does, join the Planetary Society. And we are going to push for that. Thank you for your question. Thank you. Oh, here are the people. Yes. You can do this, man. Don't be afraid. Go for it.
How long did it take for you to make your show?
That is a great question. Do you really want to know? So it either took about 9 weeks for each episode, working them, but you work more than one at a time. They're worked in parallel. Or it took, depends how you count, sort of 17 years. Depends how you count. So I put my heart and soul into it. You watch the show. He's got a T-shirt. I love you, man. Dad, show the world the T-shirt. Flying Man. Yes, I love you. Yes. Woo. Woo. Now, accompanying you there, guy in purple, Star Wars dad, is a young woman, yes?
Yes. What's your favorite kind of science?
That's a great question. What is my favorite kind of science? Normally, what would I say, Christy? Is good. But physics. Physics is my thing. But now, the stuff that's going on in genetics, what we are learning about the human or genes in nature is astonishing. I mean, if I were coming along now, as you are, I might not go into physics. I might go into genetics or biology. And the other thing that makes us all crazy is astrobiology. What's your name? Do you know? That's a joke.
Nora.
Laura, you will probably be alive when humans walk on Mars. What are you, like 8? Yeah, you're 8? Yeah, see, I'm psychic. There. No, I've just seen a lot of people who are 8. I was 8. No, I was 8 for a while. I was.
Yeah. Like 365 days, approximately?
Yes.
Yeah.
Might have been a quarter sprinkled
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Rounding to just 2 digits. But I guess it'd be 5 digits. I was kidding. It's just hilarious, significant digit joke there. But Laura, very reasonable. If you're 8 now, in 20 years, you could be right there. You could be in line to walk on Mars. That would be pretty cool. And you may then be the person who makes a discovery of something that was once alive on Mars, like a fossil bacterial mat, as we like to talk about, like pond scum that's turned to stone. But even stranger, it is quite reasonable that there's something alive on Mars. And if we found that, it would change the world. It would be like Copernicus or Galileo. It would be this profound thing, this deep within us kind of discovery. And then the other thing, we're going to launch a mission to a spacecraft to Europa. Have you ever heard of Europa, Laura? It's the moon of Jupiter. You can see it through a telescope or binoculars if you hold real steady. It has twice as much salt water as the Earth. So if you have a planetary body with twice as much water as the Earth that's been out there for 4.5 billion years, there could be Europanians swimming around, you know, doing Europanian things, talking Europanian fish talk or something. It could be extraordinary, and you will be around when those discoveries are made. Go get them, Laura.
Hey, Bill. A pleasure to get to say
Brother
hello to
A,
you.
guy in white lab coat.
Yes, I am. My name is Andrew. I'm a chiropractor turned science teacher, 6th grade science teacher. And did I mention member of the Planetary Society?
I love you, man. Yes, lead on.
What I would like to ask you is, did you have a teacher who inspired you? What inspired you to become a scientist, inspired you to take science to the people and to the children and make it part of something real world?
Let me start by saying perhaps the most, you could argue Mrs. McGonagall, 1st and 2nd grade. You could certainly make an argument for Mr. Lang, my physics teacher in 11th grade, but I think the guy who got me excited about math was my 6th grade teacher, Mr. Lawrence. So if you're out there doing math and science in 6th grade, you are doing the greatest work that you can do. Thank you for your service. Carry on.
My pleasure. Also, did you watch Mr. Wizard?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Wizard fan?
I watched Mr. Wizard. Christy, do you know Mr. Wizard?
I know Mr. Wizard.
How well
Not
do
personally,
you know?
but I know him.
How do you know him?
When I would wake up early before school as a kid, I'm talking like 4 or 5 years old, he was on TV.
Oh, he would be in color.
Yeah.
From Canada.
That great like 70s washed out color.
But you watched him in black and white, I think.
No, not really.
No. Anyway, I had
Maybe.
lunch with him. It was a guy named Don Herbert. He was a master. I claim that Don Herbert, Mr. Wizard, sent the United States to the moon. He inspired a generation of engineers that came of age at the lunar moonshot kind of time. What other kind of moonshot would there be? The moonshot kind of time. Anyway, that's great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Carry
Bill.
on.
Thanks for
Keep up
coming
the
out.
good work. Oh, no, it is I who must thank you.
Hello, Mr. Nye. My name is Sean Evans, and I grew up basically with Mr. Wizard, Don Harper, and you. And I know that you did say that he inspired the generation of first Rocketeers in the United States. And my question is that you yourself have inspired, my generation. But what about the next generation to come? Are you going to continue like he did, or is there someone that you see who can take up the reins?
I haven't. Let me start by saying, I have not. Blah, blah, blah. I hope people keep watching the show for another 10 years. Anyway, I hope you do other things, take a nap, go swimming or something. But I hope the show goes another 10 years. The Science Guy show. We put our hearts and soul into that thing because we worked really hard to get the curriculum usable. But then the other thing I'd say, I'm now writing these books that I hope keep the flame alive. And then finally, to answer your question directly, I have not yet met the next science guy or gal. I am ready. Bring it on. People, I am old, hurtling toward death. But no, let me tell you guys, I know it hasn't happened yet, but in this line, Christy, is going to be some multi-universe guy or gal. There's going to be what about brains? By that I mean the membranes between universes, Bill. And what about the singularity when the entire world ends in 5 minutes because someone makes a computer in Boston that's really good? I know you're all out there, but the next science guy I haven't met, but I am ready. Here's the thing I would say to everybody. The arrow of time, we are all time travelers, but we're only going one way. So I'm doing my best. Thank you, man. Let's change the world. Yes. Oh, here she is. Are you Lieutenant? I don't know that much about it.
I just did a female Spock. I like gender.
Oh, yeah, it's female Spock. Of course.
Hello? Of course, right? You know, about time. Hello, Mr. Nye. I am Sasha, and my question is directed towards your major. You're obviously a mechanical engineering major.
Obviously.
Obviously, you know.
Because look, my pants don't reach the shoe. Yeah, obviously.
And one of my friends, Daryl, he's also looking to become a mechanical engineer, and I was wondering if you had any advice for people who are seeking to be a professional in that field.
Two things. First of all, algebra. Algebra is so important to everything in engineering, everything in science. Apparently, thinking abstractly about numbers helps you or enables you to think abstractly about all sorts of things. So I took a lot of math, took a lot of calculus. I'm not saying it's the way to go, but algebra is at the heart of the whole thing. When you get way up there in calculus, they call it linear algebra because everything cancels out. And then the second thing I would say, Sasha, now if you're going to be the female Spock, I think you have to be Tshasha. I think it has to start with a T sound, yeah? So I think for the next day or two, you should go Tshasha.
Yes, I will. I'll go change my documents right now.
Well, no, I mean, it's an idea. I don't want to tell you how to live.
Thank you again. Also, I love your debate with Ken Ham, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Hey, is there anybody here from Kentucky? Are there anybody from the Commonwealth of Kentucky or Tennessee? Are you really? So be sure to vote, young woman. No, I'm not kidding, because they got this thing going, the tax increment financing deal, the TIF. That is, just let me say, I guess this will be a lawsuit, but it's a scheme where this organization would pay taxes based on revenue that is anticipated in the future, that is based on these extraordinary estimates of people who are going to come see the Earth be 6,000 years old, proven in some facility. That is a scheme it led to all kinds of lawsuits in California because the estimates aren't real and people start suing each other. So if you're a Kentucky voter, get out there. Don't let them roll over you, man. Whoa, man.
I really
yes,
appreciate.
Tshasha.
I really appreciate you doing those debates and bringing, science into the mainstream. I'm sure everybody here appreciates it. And from one secular person to another, I assume. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
No, it's over here.
It's somewhere.
No, if you're
I'm sure it's
Vulcan,
here somewhere.
if you're Vulcan, it's
Yeah,
over
right,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Carry on. Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Nye. Well, first off, I would love to say, huge fan.
Thank you. I love you, man.
It's an honor to meet you.
Thank you.
My question is sort of about end of days. My question is,
sure.
How do you feel would be the inevitable fate of humanity?
Okay. What is the inevitable fate of humanity?
In your opinion.
Let me tell you about you and me. And it was just a couple years ago, Christy, that I began to realize this. We're gonna die. It sucks. So the fate of humanity is almost certainly becoming something else that's not quite human. Our descendants will be slightly different from us. But you got to figure that for the next few billion years, there are going to be living things here, and we're the dominant organism. No matter what happens with climate change and so on, a few humans are going to live through this, and they'll carry on doing human stuff. And another few tens of thousands of years, people will look a little different, which is not all bad. When I'm at Comic-Con, I'm looking forward. No, so I don't know the ultimate fate, but what sucks is everybody's going to die. So let's make the best of it, people.
It's like the ultimate spoiler.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Fabulous.
Good,
I'm here
good to
with
hear.
you. What
Good
more
to
could
hear.
I want?
You know, I brighten up your day apparently. So.
Yeah.
My question was, how far-fetched is the possibility or the thought of there being other complex life forms out there?
It's not far-fetched at all.
We know there's bacteria on other planets, which is
Oh,
life.
of course we know that.
We know
How
that,
do
which
we
is
know
life.
that? We don't know that.
I mean, we've never had any
Direct
signs,
proof or anything.
Yeah.
No.
So how far-fetched is that?
I don't think it's far-fetched at all. Are you hip to Frank Drake and the Drake equation? You know what I'm saying?
I think I've heard.
Is everybody into the Drake equation? What more? Is there any more fun than that? Is there anybody here who went to Cornell? Oh, they won't raise their hands, but he was an astronomer at Cornell. He still is an astronomer at Cornell, and he came up with this idea, which is very cool. You start out with the number of stars in, say, the galaxy, just our galaxy. It used to be 400 billion. Now it's way down, Christy. It's like 200 billion. Then you multiply that by some fudge factors. How many of those stars have planets? How many of those planets are Earth-like? How many of those Earth-like planets are in the same state our Earth is today? That is to say, with this much land and this much water and this much ice. And then how many of those planets have living things? Then how many of those living things have been there 4.5 billion years? And how many of those are intelligent? And you get a series of fudge factors. You still end up with, if not hundreds, many dozens of planets. If not tens of thousands, many dozens of planets. So it's very reasonable to me that there are other sentient beings out there. It's got to be. Otherwise, as the old joke goes, it's a tremendous waste of space.
Yeah. And I also want to know, past, present, whatever, who is your favorite physicist? I mean, I'm a huge fan of like Michio Kaku. I like Richard Feynman.
Sure you do.
Yeah. Oh, and you, of course.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Of course.
But thank you. My favorite physicist. Well, Neil, I'll tell you, Neil Degrasse Tyson's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, that's the man.
I spent a lot of time with him.
That's the man right
I was
there.
I was with his family on Thanksgiving and stuff. We've spent a lot of time.
Nice.
But he would claim he's an astrophysicist.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like Einstein. I mean, I like Feynman. Sorry, don't make me pick. Hey, I got it. I like
curious.
Michael Faraday.
I like him too. Yeah. Thank you so
Carry
much,
on.
sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello. The show actually, Bill Nye the Science Guy, it went international, and I actually was exposed to it in Ecuador, like when I was young.
In Ecuador? Cool.
Yeah.
Was I speaking English or Spanish?
You're speaking Spanish.
That guy talks so fast, man. I can't do that.
But
I cannot do that.
So when was it for you when it hit you that the show was gonna make like even more of a difference in young people's lives? Because obviously here a lot of people are here from the U.S. They were inspired by the show, but since it went international, have you had much experience with like the international fan base?
Yes. So I say this every day, and I mean this in the most respectful way I can. I don't get it. I put my heart and soul into this thing. We were working in a warehouse in Seattle. Half the time it was pouring down rain. We couldn't shoot outside, but we did anyway. And, the objective of the show, and it's well documented, was to, dare I say it, change the world. And so that it actually is, or has the potential to, is still overwhelming to me. And I'm so gratified. I'm so thankful you took the time to get in line and come up to the microphone. I love you, man, woman.
Thank you.
But with that said, let's say I inspired this generation of people shown here. I want you guys to, let's say, jam in here, cure cancer, okay? Difficult problem, but get it done. Then I want you to electrify ground transportation so that all cars, trucks, and trains run on electricity that is renewably produced. I want a few of you to come up with a scheme to make jet airplane travel run on renewable fuel, either fuel made from biological agents or from hydrogen, for example. So I know you guys are all, many of you here are right at that moment where you're taking professional careers and you're out there working your way up in in management and corporations. But I want you to, dare I say it, change the world. So get her done, people.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Thank you. I'm in cybersecurity, but I'll let
That's
my
important.
other people know.
Okay. The three things. We got to have clean water, reliable electricity, and information technology to everyone on Earth. And that involves raising the standard of living of girls and women. So let's go, people.
Thank
And
you.
that requires education. Go. Get her done.
Hello. From future engineer to engineer, do you see any time in the future as like a second space race, like we make that steep advancement in space exploration like how we did in the 60s without the circumstances of the Cold War?
So on the board of the Planetary Society is a guy named John Logsdon, who I claim, Christy, is the world's foremost authority on the history of space. And he coined a term which has really taken hold, to address your point, called the Nixon Doctrine. And it was really Richard Nixon who decided that going to the moon was too expensive, public interest in another moon landing was not that high, and he made NASA a line item in the federal budget, in the U.S. federal budget, just like the Environmental Protection Agency, which he invented, and he was a conservative, by the way. And what else do we have? The Department of Defense. It's a line item. So without the Cold War, I don't think that'll happen again. So instead, I want people like you, as voters and taxpayers, to insist that it does happen. Now, at the height of the NASA moon effort, it was 4% of the federal budget. 4%. The NASA budget today is 0.4%. It's almost exactly a tenth of what it was at that time. But with that said, there's no reason we can't continue to reach farther and deeper into space, to explore, to send humans to Mars. We can do all that for the $18 billion that's in the federal budget for NASA. We can do it, man. Just get out there and vote. And in the meantime, let's take that 4%, 10% kind of budget thing and address climate change. You have to, it's not doing this or that. It's doing everything all at once. That's the key. Everything at once. Thank you, man. What branch are you in?
Aerospace.
Aerospace, right on. Mech Aero, right on. It's all done with molecules, people. Yes.
Hello. I'm actually a secondary math teacher myself, and I was actually going to ask you the question as well as what teacher has inspired you, because, well, I've seen students from 6th grade all the way up to AP Calculus, so I get quite the spread. But I was actually wondering instead, is there a show or movie or song that maybe inspired you or made you really enthusiastic about science?
Well, Mr. Wizard, that was cool. And there used to be a show called Discovery 65, Discovery 66, and they would do cool stuff. This has been 1966. There were people alive, Christy, back then. And those shows were influential, but the most influential thing really for me were teachers. You know, you spend more time with your teacher than you do with your parents. Thank goodness, yeah. And so if you're out there teaching math, especially secondary math, you're changing the world. You're all about the algebra, girlfriend. You're it.
Oh yes, algebra's my favorite.
I know it is. It's magical. You can predict the future. Come on, math is amazing. Carry on. Yes, carry on.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I am so not worthy.
You're plenty worthy, man. You're plenty worthy. Go ahead.
Mr. Nye, big fan of yours. Ever since 7th grade science class, I saw your episode on pollution, and God, I loved it.
Pollution Solutions.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Unfortunately, my question has nothing to do with that.
Maybe that's a good thing, really.
Yeah, kind of is.
But go ahead.
Given our culture's obsession with post-apocalyptic adventures, how do you, Bill Nye the Science Guy, believe in an alternate universe where the world is like ravaged by a zombie parasite disease, what have you. How do you feel you personally would survive that?
I think I'd rely on my speed, my quickness. You know, those guys, the zombies are slow movers, man. Yeah. But as far as worrying about that sort of apocalypse, I don't put a lot of energy into it. I'll cross that bridge, I guess, when I wake up and the freaking zombies are there. Oh, there's so much trouble. You shoot them and they're unaffected. So when I was young, we had a show called Dark Shadows. Anybody? Yeah. And it's about vampires. Like, there's nothing new, okay? I mean, I love you all, but it's not a new idea. When you really meet a real vampire, you'll come up with something. Carry on.
Thank you so much, sir.
Mr. Nye, thank you so much for coming to Miami. I never thought I'd ever get to see you.
Why not? I feel welcome in Miami.
Woo! So, my name is Priya, and I have a silly question and a serious one. The silly one is, are you aware of Gravity Falls or Bill Cipher?
No, I failed, no.
Okay, best not to look up that meme then.
Okay, I'm not going to do it right now. I mean,
Okay.
I have a phone, but I'm going to set it aside, yeah.
So the serious question I have is, I actually got into science because of your show, and of other PBS shows that focused on science, the Magic School of Us Crafts Creatures. And I thought I was going to be like you someday, to be a scientist and to make it fun, especially since you had kids on your show helping you out. But the older I got, the less fun science became, and I didn't want to be a doctor or go into research and have my work destroyed, as the teacher mentioned.
Yes, most people who do research have their work destroyed, yes. It was a good precaution you took. Go ahead, Priya.
And eventually I ended up switching from a biology major to English and went to business school. The thing is...
Can you express this in the form of a question?
Now, I was going to ask, how do we keep young people in science if it's less fun as an adult than it is as a kid?
Well, I guess what I would say is go into engineering. Look around you. Everything in this room, everything came out of somebody's head. And that person, at some point, was an engineer. An engineer was involved in making all this stuff. For better, the chairs, the lights, the clothing, the boots, the crazy shoes, everything came out of somebody's head, and that was an engineer. Engineers, I like to say, do two things. We use science to solve problems and make things. And when you make something, you generally feel good about it, or you wouldn't have bothered making it. So I'm glad you pursued English. I hope you respect your pronouns. And together we shall move forward. Forward shall be moved by us, but the passive voice must be eschewed. No, carry on. Yes, carry on.
Thank you so much.
A little short. Hey, Bill. Want to thank you for my 63.3% of my childhood.
63.3.
That's estimate.
Thereabouts, yeah.
So
it's an estimate.
A couple of years ago, I decided to start tracking down everyone that has inspired me to become who I am. And finally, you're in my town, and I broke the world record for most signatures tattooed on one's back, and I would be honored to have yours on there. I've had the Red Hot Chili Peppers on there, Tony Hawk, Steven Tyler.
We at Nye Labs have a policy, I'm sorry. No money, no body parts. I'm sorry, man. It's just how it is.
No
at
problem,
Nye
no
Labs.
problem.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Carry on. But if you buy a book, I'll autograph that. 20 in a carton. Make great gifts.
How you doing, Bill?
Fabulous.
All right. First, let me thank you because I consider you like my first real science teacher. Like every day, coming home after school, watching your show.
Yes. I don't remember you in class, but I'm glad you were there. No, it's
I was
cool,
the one in
man.
the back, like just. No. Anyways,
Did you have a beard back then?
I did actually. It was
Yeah.
a complication.
I do remember you. Yeah.
Anyways, I have a much more complicated question. I decided that it would be better to ask you over there. So instead, I'm just going to ask you in the.
What's your complicated question? How could?
I have to like break it down, and like it's about black holes and stuff like that.
Oh, black holes, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I mean, so I figured I'd do a simple question.
Sure,
since we're at
go ahead.
Comic-Con.
Simple question.
Who's your favorite superhero, physics aside? Like,
well, when I was younger, it was Batman. Because he was like a guy, just in really good shape. And he could just outthink anybody. He was just like, oh, he's way ahead of the Joker and also, in the Batman comics, they were always jumping around in giant things. And as a guy who liked toy trains, that was like very appealing. Miniatures, dollhouses, have an appeal for everybody. And so I like Batman, but now mostly it's Spider-Man because I think the big thing for me, Christy, he does whatever a spider can.
I don't know. I don't see him ever eating bugs.
I mean, being able to walk on the wall, to hang from the ceiling, how cool would that be?
Even better than that, like sensing something that's
Oh, God, my spider sense tingles all the freaking time, people. I tell you right now.
Well, thank you very much.
I sense it continually.
And hopefully I'll get to talk to you over there.
Yeah, carry on, yes,
All right.
yes.
Hi, I'm Tara. I'm not a scientist. I'm a cosmetologist, so I'm just a normal person up here in front of you.
Not a cosmologist, a cosmetologist.
It
But,
changes things, you see.
The
That's
words
totally
are related.
different.
They're putting a good face on it, studying the face.
Yes, so, and I just wanted to speak on behalf of people that aren't involved in science already. Thank you so much for keeping it simple and easy for us to understand and to pursue knowledge. I'm not a scientist yet. And that's thanks to people like you in our society. So
right on.
Thank you
love
so much.
Man.
But one of my questions is, with the way society is going, the devastation to our forests, things like that, how soon do we have to worry about paying for filtered air as industry makes its way?
Oh, filtered air.
Filtered air, yeah.
Okay, so we'll take that question two ways. If you can compare Southern California in 1968 with Beijing 10 years ago, they were comparable. So strange as it may seem, the air in Southern California is much cleaner than it was 40 years ago. Way cleaner. Because people took these extraordinary steps to require cars to have cleaner emissions. And you guys may not remember this, but there was this controversy about catalytic converters. These are things that, take some nitrous oxides out of the exhaust of cars. And it's going to add $80 to the price of cars. Consumers will never accept that. Okay, whatever. But people did. And this year is another example of that, where people running for president on the conservative side seem, or at least to win their primaries, they're espousing a point of view that environmental regulations cost jobs. But I argue that that's not true. That when you have very dirty water, your fisheries, the industries go way down. When you have dirty air, people stop coming to work, is what's happening in Beijing. So what I encourage everybody to do before we need filtered air in the United States and China is to vote. And if you don't want to vote, would you just shut up? Just let everybody else run things. So I know that we're in Florida, and Florida is always an important state in presidential elections especially. But just think about the environment before you vote. Just take the environment, just think about what life would be like if instead of Miami Beach, it's Miami Seawall and West Palm Seawall. It will change everything, let alone if people can't breathe. So way to go. That's an excellent question.
Thank you.
Carry on. Thank you. Nice shirt, man. Show the world your shirt. Very stylish.
Looking forward to your movie?
Yes, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yes.
Well, my name is Nick. I'm a civil engineer inspired by the
Civil
science
engineer,
guy.
right on.
My question to you is how would
Get a
you,
little closer to the microphone.
My question to you is how would you recommend a young professional to enter the world of climate change and to help in the...
So civil engineer, man, you're the guy.
That's what I'm trying to become.
Yeah,
man.
okay,
That's what I'm
so
saying.
the big problem we're going to have is flooding.
Yes.
And everybody, when we talk about flooding, it's not, Christy, we're not going to be under 30 feet of water, there's going to be this much water on the floor everywhere.
2025.
And people are going to leave. And so it's up to you, civil engineering guy, to work out some public works that move the water around, especially in South Florida. Man. So let's get her done. So in civil engineering, you build bridges.
I'm doing infrastructure now. Water
Infrastructure,
and sewer,
yeah.
And drainage. So
Drainage.
Right.
That's
and
you.
Coastal development. There's a lot of
Coastal
inertia.
development. You're the man.
That's what I'm trying to become.
This guy is
so.
saving the world. So thank you.
Thanks to you, man. It's all up to you.
Carry on. Nice tie. Nice tie.
Hello. Do you have any advice for future generations of scientists?
Advice for future generations of scientists. Yeah. Make discoveries. Change the world. Have fun. There. No, everybody, we need technical solutions to a couple problems. We want clean water, we want reliable electricity for everybody. So this means improved efficiencies in solar panels. Be really important. My watch is solar powered, but it's about 10% efficient. That's all it needs to be. But if you had solar panels on houses in Florida that were 80% efficient, you would change the world. Then if we can make wind turbines that are robust enough to withstand hurricanes, which happen in Florida from time to time, that would be fabulous. And then the other huge problem that you could solve is better batteries, better electrical storage. If you invented a better battery, not only would you change the world, you would get rich, like crazy rich, like Bill Gates rich, like head of IKEA guy rich. So go get them, man. These are technical problems that are waiting to be addressed. You can do this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Gabriel. Ever since I was 4 and I first started watching you in Spanish, Bill Nye has been a major part of my life.
Cool, I love you, man. That guy in Spanish, I said, he speaks so fast, I can't do it.
And like, you used to be a comedian, like you were on Seattle show, Almost Live.
Yes.
Speedwalker.
Yes, greetings, citizen. No, Speedwalker is a superhero, if you never saw. He would not fly, like Superman would, or Green Lantern flies, right? But he would race walk. He would not even run. He would heel toe all the time. And he only talked, you may recall, he only talked to citizen, officer, and punk. Those are the only guys he addressed.
Heel toe, heel toe.
Heel toe, greetings, yes. Carry on.
My question is that you mentioned Kentucky.
Close to the microphone. Kentucky.
There is plans to make like a life-size Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you're against it, and why? What would you do to like stop it? Like, what are your beliefs on this? Like, why don't you like it? Like,
because it's gonna. Here's the thing. Teaching young people that the Earth is 6,000 years old is not just obviously wrong, but it's not in our best interest because this will exclude a whole generation of Kentucky science students. They will have this conflict all the time they're living at home, where people are telling them the Earth is 6,000 years old, where all the evidence is that it's 4.5 billion years old. And so they'll have this conflict. It will lead to families falling apart, and it will lead to an unproductive generation of students. So the other problem, just everybody, if you are Kentuckians in the Commonwealth, keep in mind that guy, the head guy, is leveraging this Ark Park against bonds for his creation museum, which is also based on junk bonds. So any plans or things that he presents that are going to bring in all this money to the Commonwealth of Kentucky probably won't when the whole thing collapses financially. And by the way, they put it up sometimes and then they take it down, but you're not allowed to work there unless you testify to your walk with Christ. And you can't be homosexual, for example. And this would be fine for a private business, but not for a business that accepts Commonwealth tax dollars. So, well, you guys, you can applaud or shoot the messenger. I didn't make that up. We have this, this Constitution. People wrote very carefully. They took a meeting a couple hundred years ago. And so you can't do either of those things and take tax dollars. So sooner or later, it's going to catch up with them, and the sooner the better.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got about 10 minutes left.
Cool. Did we start on time?
We did.
Okay, thank you,
We did.
Christy. Thank you. Jump in here. Uncle Bill talks so freaking much. Yes.
Hello, this is a question my father was going to ask.
And he texted it to you.
Yes.
God, what a world. My dad texted me a message to ask Bill Nye. Cool. Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
It's cool.
He asked me if you believe in the current standard model or if you believe in the M theory.
Oh, the standard model or M theory. Yeah, you're talking about subatomic particles and whether or not they're brains, other universes adjacent to this one. I'm all for the standard model because people have worked so hard to prove it, to make discoveries. And the Higgs boson, apparently is a real thing. And people are hoping for the next one down, the negatron, whatever the heck it is. And so we'll go looking. I really don't have an opinion about that except this. I would like to invest in a bigger collider. And as a guy, and this is I had nothing to do with this. I was born in the U.S. I mean, I was. I'm a U.S. guy, and my engineering degree, my license is in the United States. I want the new collider to be built in the United States, just for patriotic reasons. And people will say, well, why do you want to build that? To find out whether it's M theory or standard model? That's stupid. And I would say, because we will make discoveries about nature that will change the course of human history. This is the centennial year of Einstein's publishing his general relativity paper. This is the 100th year anniversary of that. And so it took 100 years. Don't tell me you don't rely on special and general relativity because your global positioning system on your phone needs both. Without Einstein's discovery or someone else making the discovery of relativity, you would not have the phone to tell you which side of the street you're standing on. So it's cool. We need to support the new collider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you look sharp. You look very sharp. Turn around. Let them see you, sir. Yes. Yes. Yes.
What can I say? I learned from the best.
Yes, yes. And you're carrying an Erlenmeyer flask.
Mm-hmm.
The way you do.
Yes. First of all...
What's in the flask, may I ask?
A little bit of H2O, some carbohydrates. It's nothing special.
Okay.
Okay, well, first off, to preface this, I've been watching your show since I first learned how to talk, and now I'm actually finishing up my last semester in college with the hopes of getting into med school.
Right on, right on.
So my question is I've noticed like with a lot of the questions you were mentioning, just a lot of where you see, or where would you like, engineering to go and physics and stuff. I'm wondering what about the other disciplines? Where do you see biology going? Where do you see, chemistry and that, and at least within the near future?
So where I see chemistry going is doing more with less, as I like to say. We'll have ways to take carbon out of the air with like a resin that chemists are going to invent or develop. So that's the first thing. That's simple enough. Yeah. Then when it comes to biology, you guys, I think it's very reasonable that I am the last generation that will not be able to regenerate a new arm. That you guys will, the young people here, will be of an age, like I had my appendix out. I mean, I had help with it. I didn't. You guys will be able to grow a new appendix if you need one, or a new half a lung, or whatever it is. Because you'll be of an age where genetics are understood that well. My mother died of cancer. My father dealt with cancer. My brother-in-law died from smoking. You guys will probably live through a time when nobody in the developed world dies from cancer. And the other thing about biology that crosses all of the disciplines, physics, chemistry, life science, what I like to call planetary science, astronomy, and celestial mechanics, is astrobiology. It is very reasonable to me. Certainly in the next 100 years, people will know whether or not there's life on Europa, life on Mars. But I want to find out now. I want to send missions to Mars and Europa now to look for signs of life. And then the question is, if we found some microbes on Mars, some Mars-crobes, are they like us? Do they have DNA? Or are they some other super spook thing. Just think what that would mean to medicine if there was a new way to make a living thing. Whoa, dude. So what I want to do is, as I say, is everything all at once. Continue to explore space, address climate change, better batteries, wind turbines, electrical storage, clean water, reliable electricity for all. Let's go, people.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice outfit, by the way. Yes.
Hello, my name is Ty. I just actually have it's more of a favor than a question.
Okay, so let me start by saying no hugs, no selfies.
No, of course.
I love you. Of course, yeah. Of course. But go ahead.
So it's actually about our environment. Once you said you were able to motivate all of us, I was wondering if you actually be able to make a video to motivate, to help all of us to change the environment in a way.
Well, okay. Watch my show. Watch my website. Yes. But the big thing, you man, is vote. That's the big thing, you guys. It's this next election. I mean, as the head of the CEO of the nonprofit, I am not going to support any specific candidate. No, I'm not. But in Florida especially, climate change is going to be a big deal in the next 20 years, next 10 years. And so the sooner we get to work addressing it, the better. So when it comes to vote in Florida, really think about the environment. You are on the front line of this. And if you have all these people, I don't know how long they're going to keep it up. After the primaries are won, after the conservatives resolve their primaries, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them says, well, I believed in climate change all along, which would be fine if he or she does that. But if not, you guys, really, I mean, climate change is the most serious problem we face. And so let's get her done. Let's go.
Thank you.
Christy, may I address Bill Nye for president?
You may.
Okay, you guys, I want you to think about this. You can look through history. What you want is somebody who's going to be president who has some familiarity with the job. And I say this all the time, bring in people who have no experience in government whatever, who have never had to make a vote, who have never had to sign letters to constituents, who've never had to shake hands to get support with constituents, who've never had to argue and get compromises for political reasons. That person is probably not the person you want to be president. Now, I run a nonprofit. That's not the same as the government. And speaking to this one point, and I'll let you absorb it, when you're president, you can't go up to a senator or congressman and say, you're fired. Because the senator or congressman doesn't get fired. That's not how it works. In fact, if you're a senator, your term is longer than I'm sorry, I'll be here after you're gone, madam or sir. Sorry, you can't fire me. And so I'm a senator from Iowa. I'm sorry, man. And so that sort of fundamental lack of experience, I think, is a big concern. And I want everybody to just think about that before you vote. Do you want somebody with absolutely no experience running the most powerful government on earth? You know, maybe not. And so we'll see how it goes. Did I mention voting, Christy? Did I bring it up? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
So I'm not going to be president, you guys. I'm not qualified. Vice president, apparently, sure, everybody's qualified. No, I'm kidding. Nobody's qualified. That's a really hard job. And so, hang on. So, I really encourage you to look for people with the right experience to vote for. And I say this all the time. If you have somebody who wants that job, wow, that is an extraordinary person, man. Yes, yellow hat, ear.
Pikachu.
Yes.
Who are you? You're a minion? What are you? I know, I don't know.
That's Pikachu from Pokemon.
I can't see the...
Oh, it's, yeah, it is Pikachu.
No, of course it is, yeah.
Yeah,
We're at Comic-Con. Yeah, it's pretty tame. It's pretty tame. Yes, lead on.
All right, well, let me say it's quite awesome.
Get a little closer to the microphone.
It's quite awesome to be able to talk to you.
I love you, man.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically, with everyone who pretty much is trying to get back into school, who hasn't already started and everything, and has really no idea where they're going.
You have somebody in mind?
Yeah, a few people. But
Maybe you?
maybe. What are some like the majors that you recommend that really need more help that no
Well,
one's
chemical engineering. I want
looking
somebody to
over?
come up with a better battery. Okay, that's chemical engineering.
Right,
Okay, okay, that's simple.
definitely on the list.
Then civil engineer, seawall guy. We're going to need you. And then also we're going to need people who can go to the developing world and engage people who live there and get what I imagine are people making small loans to enable villages to be connected to the World Wide Web. So we need everybody doing everything all at once. I like to talk about engineering problems and so on, but the social problems are much bigger and much more difficult, much harder to get under control. And if you like to worry about things, by the way, if you like to worry about things, you are living at a great time. This is fabulous. But if you like to worry about things, climate change is displacing populations. People in the Middle East are leaving old farms, family farms, going to big cities looking for jobs. They can't get jobs, they get disaffected, they get recruited by terrorist organizations, and it's trouble for everybody. So then populations are going to be displaced here in the United States slowly. All these things are social problems, and so we need everybody doing everything all at once, engineering aside.
Everyone be friendly.
Be
Love one
friendly.
another.
Right on. Know your neighbors. Do business. Peace.
All right, and this is our last question.
Last question, or is
Make
the
it
person
good.
behind is the line holder. Yes, last question. This is going to be great, man. This is going to be fabulous.
No pressure.
Knock it out of the park. Let's go.
I'm so sorry because it's such a lame question.
No, it's going to be great.
All right, have you ever heard of, and if you have, what was your view about it, epic rap battles of history?
Sure, yes.
You're in.
Yes. Yes.
How did you feel about that?
I loved it. Come on. Who doesn't want to be me versus Isaac Newton? Come on, sure. No, it was fun, you guys. Bring that stuff on. No, it's just so much fun. Come on. Yes, turn it up loud. And I encourage everybody to, become an expert rhymer. Yeah, to spit.
I think you were great in it, just saying.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you.
That's a great
All right, you guys,
question.
thank you so much for being here. Christy.
All right. Before you guys go anywhere,
we're going to have a group picture with Bill Nye. So everyone come up to the stage. Bill Nye.